The Haunting of Lizzie Borden. I remember the stifling atmosphere of the Borden household like it was yesterday. My father, Andrew Borden, was a strict and domineering man, ruling over our home with an iron fist. My stepmother, Abby, tried her best to keep the peace, but tensions simmered beneath the surface, threatening to boil over at any moment. The morning of August 4th, 1892, is etched into my memory like a nightmare. I awoke to the sound of screams echoing through the house, the walls spattered with blood and the air thick with the stench of death. My father and stepmother lay lifeless on the floor, their bodies hacked to pieces with an axe. I was arrested and stood trial for their murders, the whole town watching with bated breath as the sordid details of the case were laid bare. Despite the lack of physical evidence linking me to the crime, whispers of my guilt followed me wherever I went. In the years that followed, rumors of hauntings and ghostly apparitions began to swirl around the Borden family home. Visitors reported hearing strange noises, seeing shadowy figures, and experiencing unexplained phenomena. Some claimed to have seen the ghost of Abby Borden wandering the halls, her eyes filled with anguish and despair. To this day, the truth behind the murders remains a mystery, but the legend of Lizzie Borden and the haunted house on 2nd Street lives on. The curse of the Cecil Hotel. The Cecil Hotel loomed over downtown Los Angeles like a dark and sinister specter, its walls holding secrets that few dared to uncover. I checked into the hotel in the hopes of experiencing the city's seedy underbelly firsthand. But I got more than I bargained for. From the moment I stepped foot inside the lobby, I felt a chill run down my spine. The air was heavy with the weight of untold suffering, and the walls seemed to whisper with the voices of the past. I brushed off the feeling as mere paranoia, eager to explore the hotel's dark and mysterious history. But as the night wore on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me, lurking in the shadows just out of sight. Strange noises echoed through the halls, and the air grew thick with an oppressive sense of dread. Then, just as I was about to retire for the night, I heard a blood-curdling scream pierce the silence, followed by the sound of footsteps echoing down the hallway. I rushed out into the corridor, my heart pounding in my chest, but there was no one there. As I made my way back to my room, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being followed, that something dark and malevolent was stalking me through the halls. And when I finally reached my room and locked the door behind me, I felt a cold hand close around my throat, squeezing the breath from my lungs. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that the Cecil Hotel is cursed, that its walls hold secrets too terrible to imagine. And as I lay awake at night, haunted by the memories of my stay, I can't help but wonder what other horrors lie hidden within its shadowy depths. The Mothman prophecies. The town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, was a sleepy little community nestled along the banks of the Ohio River. But in the late 1960s, it became the epicenter of a wave of terror, unlike anything the world had ever seen. I was just a young boy at the time, but I remember the fear and paranoia that gripped the town like a vice. It started innocently enough. Reports of a strange creature lurking in the woods, its glowing red eyes watching from the shadows. But as the sightings increased in frequency, so too did the sense of unease that settled over the town. Then, on December 15th, 1967, tragedy struck in the form of the Silver Bridge collapse. I watched in horror as the bridge crumbled into the icy waters below, taking the lives of 46 people with it. And in the days leading up to the disaster, eyewitnesses reported seeing a winged creature perched atop the bridge. its eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. As the years passed, the legend of the Mothman only grew, with reports of sightings continuing to this day. Some believe it to be a harbinger of doom, a messenger of death sent to warn us of impending tragedy. Others dismiss it as a mere figment of the imagination, a trick of the light in the darkness. But for those of us who lived through those dark and terrifying days, the Mothman will always be a reminder of the fragility of life and the mysteries that lie hidden in the shadows. The Bell Witch Haunting. The Bell family home in Adams, Tennessee, was a place of fear and dread, haunted by a malevolent entity known as the Bell Witch. I was just a child when the haunting began, but I remember it like it was yesterday. The strange noises in the night, the objects moving of their own accord, the sense of impending doom that hung heavy in the air. The entity, believed to be the spirit of a woman named Kate Batts, tormented the Bell family with physical attacks, disembodied voices, and mysterious illnesses. My father, John Bell, bore the brunt of the witch's wrath, suffering from fits and seizures that were attributed to her curse. As the haunting continued unabated, the Bell family sought help from anyone who would listen, but to no avail. The witch seemed unstoppable, her power growing with each passing day. Then, one fateful night in 1820, John Bell was found dead in his bed, his face contorted in agony. The cause of death was never determined, but many believed it to be the work of the Bell Witch, her curse finally claiming its ultimate prize. In the years that followed, the legend of the Bell Witch continued to grow, with reports of hauntings and ghostly apparitions haunting the Bell family home. To this day, the truth behind the haunting remains a mystery, but the legacy of fear and tragedy that it left behind endures. The Axeman of New Orleans. The city of New Orleans has always been a magnet for the strange and the macabre, but in the early 20th century, it was gripped by a wave of terror unlike anything it had ever seen. I was just a young man at the time, but I remember the fear and paranoia that gripped the city like a vice. It started innocently enough, reports of strange noises in the night, followed by the discovery of a body hacked to pieces with an axe. Then, as the body count continued to rise, so too did the sense of unease that settled over the city. The Axeman, as he came to be known, preyed upon unsuspecting victims with a brutal and indiscriminate savagery. From 1918 to 1919, he struck fear into the hearts of the city's residents, breaking into homes under the cover of darkness and attacking his victims with an axe. Despite an intense manhunt and numerous suspects, the Axeman was never caught, leaving behind a trail of death and destruction that remains unsolved to this day. But it wasn't just the brutality of the killings that sent shivers down the spines of New Orleans residents. It was the chilling letter that the Axeman sent to the local newspaper, in which he claimed to be a supernatural being who would spare the lives of those who played jazz music in their homes on the night of his next attack. To this day, the true identity of the Axeman remains a mystery, leaving behind a legacy of fear and paranoia that continues to haunt the streets of New Orleans, the ghost ship of the Great Lakes. I've heard tales of the ghost ship of the Great Lakes since I was a child, whispered by sailors and fishermen who claim to have seen its spectral form gliding across the icy waters on moonless nights. They say it appears without warning, shrouded in fog and bathed in an otherworldly glow, before vanishing into thin air without a trace. Legend has it that the ship was once a grand vessel, sailing the Great Lakes with a crew of hardened seamen. But one fateful night, it vanished without a trace, swallowed by the icy depths of Lake Superior. Since then, it has haunted the waters, appearing to unsuspecting travelers with its ghostly crew still at the helm. Some say the ship is cursed, doomed to wander the lakes for all eternity. Others claim it is a warning from the spirits of the sea, a reminder of the dangers that lie hidden beneath the surface. But for those who have seen it with their own eyes, the ghost ship of the Great Lake is a terrifying reminder of the mysteries that lurk in the depths. The Shadow Man of Sleepy Hollow. The legend of Sleepy Hollow has been passed down through generations, a cautionary tale of dark forests and restless spirits. But there is one figure that haunts the dreams of the villagers more than any other: the Shadow Man. They say he lurks in the shadows, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light as he watches from the darkness. Some claim to have seen him standing at the edge of the woods, his form shifting and twisting like smoke in the wind. Others say he whispers to them in their dreams, filling their minds with visions of terror and despair. But the most chilling aspect of the Shadow Man is his connection to the Headless Horseman, the legendary specter said to ride through Sleepy Hollow on dark and moonless nights. Some believe the two are one and the same, two sides of the same dark and malevolent force that haunts the village to this day. Despite countless attempts to banish him from Sleepy Hollow, the Shadow Man remains, a silent sentinel watching from the shadows, his presence a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of the forest.